And now, from 12 Studios, this is News 12 Now.
Today is Monday, June 10th. Welcome to News 12 Now. I'm Kylee Dedmon. New this afternoon, we now know the name of the man who was fatally stabbed at the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant parking garage last night. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation says officers arrived to find 51-year-old Philip Wingfield of Atoka had been stabbed and later died after medics performed life-saving measures. 20-year-old Antonio Latham of Gunner was arrested and booked into the Bryan County Jail for first-degree murder later that night. OSBI has taken over the investigation. Now, this is a developing story. Stay with News 12 for more information. Johnston County drivers, be aware, Ravia area, McSwain Lane and Fuller Lane are open. However, their conditions are very rough. Johnston County Emergency Management is also concerned that other roads in the area could be washed out. Crews are assessing damages this afternoon. Use caution if you are driving in that area. The first heat wave of 2024 broke records for temperatures to the southwest. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette spoke to Texas experts about the temperature spikes.
It's a little warm, huh?
The dog days of summer are already here in parts of the Southwest, even before the official start of the season in 2 weeks. This Las Vegas pup donned protective shoes for a walk as the temperature hit a record high of 110 degrees Friday, followed by a dip in a kiddie pool. The heat dome is also bringing sweltering rays to Phoenix, where kids visited a splash pad to keep cool.
To be honest, it feels like someone grabs a blow dryer and it's just blowing it straight in your face. That's exactly how it feels.
Nicole Rickman's children headed to the pool.
It pretty much feels like you're in an oven. Like if you set your oven to 120 degrees and then you just open it and stuck your head in it, that's Arizona.
Cooling centers opened in parts of the state.
We see the heat increase pretty quickly here in Arizona, and it's deadly from the start. So the cooling centers here are very integral parts of keeping our community safe.
The heat is already on much earlier than past summers.
Climate change is making everything hotter, and then you add on top of that the fact that summers are always hot. And so we can expect a hotter than normal summer.
And he says expect that to be the new normal. Tourists in Rome are also struggling to stay hydrated as temperatures soar there.
I'm sweating a lot. Feels like I'm in the desert right now.
The high temperatures in the U.S. are expected to ease over the weekend. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
All right, we are tracking a few showers and thunderstorms here on Max radar. Nothing severe really at all, but there is quite a bit of lightning that's starting to pick up. And right now, the only areas of concern really are Fannin and Lamar counties. So this is all part of just some more weak boundary moving through. So we're going to be keeping an eye on it. Temperature-wise, actually, the cloud cover keeping us pretty in check as we head into the afternoon. Low to mid 70s, a few upper 70s popping up as well. So yeah, it's going to remain on the cooler side, at least for the time of the year, as we go through the rest of this afternoon and evening, maintaining just an isolated chance for showers and storms. So it's going to remain that way at least today and tomorrow, but then does summer stick around? Well, pretty much a repeat of last week on the way with more heat and more sunshine. We'll break it all down in your full forecast here in just a little bit, but back to you, Kylie.
Thank you, Brian. Well, Texoma's own Sully Sullenberger had its grand opening at Charlotte's Sullenberger Aviation Museum last weekend. The Denison native was at the museum Wednesday night. Retired Captain Chelsea Sullenberger, also known as Sully, is a pilot whose quick thinking saved his passengers and crew back in 2009 when a flight from New York to Charlotte had both of its engines disabled due to bird strikes. Sullenberger landed the plane in the Hudson River, saving every person on board. The museum reopened Saturday with a new focus of inspiring, educating, and elevating Charlotte's next generation of innovators. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rasheed Rice is speaking out months after he was involved in a violent street racing crash on a Dallas, Texas highway. 6 vehicles were involved and several people were hurt. Rice is facing 8 charges for his role in the incident. On Saturday, he attended a youth football camp in Kansas City with some of his teammates and spoke publicly for the first time about what happened. Take a listen.
I've learned so much from that. All I could do was, mature and continue to grow from that. And this is, a step in, a better direction for me.
Rice says he looks forward to getting back on the field and knows the Kansas City community and his team have his back. Well, friends of a nursing student who has cerebral palsy created award-winning technology to aid their classmate in doing daily tasks on the job. Fox's Steve Nielsen has more.
What's about to happen next is an award-winning moment that makes everything a lot easier.
To one side and then the other.
Lauren Matsky can now just slip on her glove using one hand.
Learning independence, not having to rely on people, and how it's going to help me in the future.
Lauren is an incredible student at West Mech's Medical Assistant Program. Laughing with her classmates now, her journey began at just 1 day old. She had a stroke, which caused cerebral palsy. She only has full use of one hand, but wants to be a nurse more than anything.
It's just from the experience I have had in the operating room and getting prepped and just help the kids that have cerebral palsy.
Yeah. Her instructor was ready to make sure Lauren could do everything her classmates could.
Drawing blood was my biggest obstacle. I wanted her to be able to draw blood.
But gloves became an issue.
We wanted to be able to help her.
It was her friends in class that designed these 3D printed clamps with hooks. They even won an award for them.
It did help Lauren a lot, and she's able to do things more independently now.
Lauren's become an inspiration. She doesn't just pass classes, she thrives.
She doesn't let anything stop her. I've never had anybody try so hard. She has a goal, and she wants to make it. She wants to be a nurse, and I think she will.
And she has a message for anyone that doubts her.
Just because I do it differently doesn't mean I'm doing it necessarily wrong.
And that was Steve Nielsen reporting. Well, Microsoft and Google will offer free or discounted cybersecurity services to rural hospitals across the U.S. It's a bid to make them less vulnerable to cyber attacks that have disrupted patient care and threatened lives. Microsoft says it will provide free security updates for eligible rural hospitals and security assessments and training for hospital staff. Google will offer free cybersecurity advice to rural hospitals. It will also start a pilot program to match the firm's cybersecurity services with the needs of rural hospitals. The government says the number of ransomware attacks against the U.S. healthcare sector increased by a whopping 128% in 2023 compared to the year prior. The recent ransomware attacks have brought the sector's vulnerability into sharp focus. The roughly 1,800 rural community hospitals in the U.S. are among the most vulnerable to dangerous ransomware attacks. That's because they often lack IT security resources and cybersecurity trained staff. And speaking of cyber attacks, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear an appeal from Facebook related to a massive data breach at the social media company. It centers on how much information was disclosed to investors about damage caused by the breach. Facebook says it was open about the potential harm caused by the Cambridge Analytica data breach. It involved the private information of millions of Facebook users that was obtained by Cambridge Analytica, a firm that worked with Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. In 2019, Facebook agreed to pay a little more than $5 billion to settle charges with federal regulators over the scandal, but investors have argued that they didn't disclose enough about the damage caused by the breach. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals agreed, allowing the lawsuit against Facebook to proceed. The highest court's decision in the case is expected next year. All weekend long, Fox cameras captured large groups of migrants illegally crossing the southern border. Fox News correspondent Matt Finn has more from California.
Good afternoon. Last week, President Biden announced a highly anticipated executive order aimed at stopping the flow of illegal migrants. But since then, it's been business as usual here at the southern border. All weekend long, Fox cameras captured images like this. Thousands crossing into the San Diego sector. Some of those migrants even praised President Biden for his border policies. Border Patrol has not yet released any official numbers, but non-government groups say they haven't seen any significant changes so far.
There are migrants that are coming. Border Patrol is telling them to wait in certain locations. They wait for a few hours, and then they get picked up and will be taken for processing.
Now a new internal Border Patrol memo is adding to the controversy. Agents in the San Diego sector are being told to release single adults from all but 6 countries in the Eastern Hemisphere. The White House defending the program, saying implementation is still at a very early stage.
Our intent is to really change the risk calculus of individuals before they leave their countries of origin. It's early. The signs are positive.
And this issue still a top priority for many voters as the election season ramps up.
I don't expect that capping migration numbers is going to really have a meaningful positive impact.
Seal our border, make sure that illegals they can't vote.
Biden's executive order will remain in place until the daily average of migrant encounters hits 1,500. The latest numbers Fox News has obtained shows we're sitting at about 3,900. In Hukuma, California, Matt Finn, Fox News.
The U.S. military resumed air drops of aid into Gaza on Sunday. It came after the military said they were suspended due to Israeli operations in the northern area. U.S. Central Command says a U.S. cargo plane had dropped more than 10 metric tons of meals on Sunday. It says to date, the U.S. has airdropped more than 1,050 metric tons of humanitarian assistance. Sunday's airdrop took place a day after maritime aid deliveries to Gaza resumed after the U.S.-built pier was repaired from a damage in heavy seas. The damage paused operations for nearly 2 weeks. The deputy commander of U.S. Central Command said Friday the U.S. sees airdrops as well as the pier as a temporary solution.
Thank you for watching today's News 12 Now. Make sure to subscribe so you find out why Texoma turns to us. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where you'll see more social media exclusive content. Want more News 12 Now? Watch us live every weekday through the KXII app on your phone or TV and through our website.